Got a chance to see the new Channing Tatum, Kirsten Dunst true story film, Roofman. Let's talk about it right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I'm your host, Frank Zanka, an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. And yeah, we're going to talk about Roofman. I was going to go see Tron tonight, but everybody was so down on it. I wanted to see something fun without analyzing everything or being bored, which is what I heard about Tron. I'll go see that on Sunday. I guess I'll be bored on Sunday. But I was looking forward to this one. I thought it looked fun, which I'm not sure entirely it was. But I got to say that the quality of the film was decent. So let's talk about it. It was obviously people on Rotten Tomatoes, both the critics and the audience score is pretty much the same at 86% or 85%. So for the most part, everybody is liking the film. So I don't know how the film actually got made. It was made in North Carolina. I think it was made in North Carolina, which is where the true story took place, which is great that we had, first of all, here in the South, and second of all, having it shot in the United States is always a positive as far as I'm concerned. So this was written and directed by Derek Cianfrance, or Cianfrance, depending on how the accent goes. And he was the director of Blue Valentine. He hasn't directed that many things. So that was with Ryan Gosling and Michelle Williams. And the only thing I remember about that movie was that there was some kind of a sci-fi hotel room. I don't really remember much about that film. And he also did Place Beyond the Pines, which I think also had Ryan Gosling in it. But anyway, somehow they got a hold of this story, this true story of this thief who was ex-military, and they probably presented it to Channing Tatum because Channing Tatum was executive producer on this, which means they probably lent, I don't know how much his name has about getting funding, but the film cost $19 million, which is really not that high. And let's say they spent another $20 million in marketing, so they're at $40 million, which still means that this thing needs to make $80 million. I don't know if it'll make that or not. I don't know what the marketing budget is. Do I think this movie will make $80 million? I do not know. They're estimating it's going to make $10 million this weekend, which will not nearly be enough. It literally has to make like $40 million this weekend, both internationally, domestically / internationally. So I hope it does, because Channing Tatum is a very hit and miss actor for me. Sometimes I think that he is extremely stiff or overacts. So he's got both of those qualities that are very, very poor in an actor. However, when he does click and identify with a role, he does a decent job. And here I think he does click with it because, he's able to cry on cue. He actually shows some really, really deep emotion at times. And I really appreciate that performance. And, Kirsten Dunst is always good. I even liked her in Civil War, even though I disliked Civil War. I did like her performance in there. And, of course, was good in Spiderman and things to that effect. I didn't realize that she's only 45. She's not aging that well, I'll tell you that. She definitely looks older than 45. But either way, she's a very good actress, and I thought that there was some good chemistry here. Um, Certain scenes, maybe not. Certain scenes, maybe. It was kind of an on and off type of relationship, which I think is pretty much what they had. So I don't think that the awkwardness between them at times was detrimental to the film. I think it actually added to it. Because you got to remember that he was lying throughout their entire relationship. So it couldn't be, glass. And then, of course, he was dealing with two teenage daughters as well, which is her kids. So he's had to kind of buddy up to them. And I think that the younger one, at least in the movie, now in true life, I don't know, but in the movie, he basically was taking her youngest daughter and replacing his daughter with her, since he wasn't able to see her. So I think that there was a lot of deep structure to the character, which you don't see very often in a Channing Tatum movie. I did like Fly Me to the Moon. I know a lot of people did not like that movie, but I did. I thought he really clicked with that role. And I did not like him as Gambit in X-Men in the least. I think he is an extremely poor choice for Gambit. I know he wants to play that role, but that role does not fit him in the least. Like I said, he's very hot and cold for me, and that is, part of the reason because some of the roles he chooses are not for him, and it's very obvious when it does not fit him. And of course, the first thing I saw him in, I think, was Step Up, right? I don't know if he did anything prior to that, but Step Up is the first thing I saw him in. And I think that's where, of course, he met his wife. When he was dancing with her, and he was really good in that. And I didn't see the stripping movie. I heard he was good in that too, but that wasn't made for me. Magic Mike, that's what it was, Magic Mike. So we also have Lakeith Stanfield in here, and he was probably the best part of Haunted Mansion. Not that that was a good movie. That was a very poor movie. But he's a good actor as well. And Juno Temple, I barely even recognize. I'm like, who is that? And, she's kind of dropped off the face of the earth a little bit. But she was good in this too. But again, smaller roles. Ben Mendelsohn had a very, very tiny role here. And we had one of the women from Orange is the New Black, the one that played like the crazy one. They were the minister and the minister's wife. So for Ben Mendelsohn to break out into song and singing, I wasn't prepared for that. Anyway, before we go on any further, remember to give me a like, give me a subscribe if you can. If you can share this video out there, that would be awesome as well. Remember, too, that I'm a writer myself. If you'd like to check out anything that I've written, you can go to Amazon.com and just type my name in, or there's a link in the description below. You'll see my 4-novel sci-fi epic adventure called Destiny Aurora. It's basically based on Guardians of the Galaxy mixed with Star Wars, mixed with Star Trek. It's just an amalgam of everything. So if you like epic space, you're going to like this as well. It's got a very down-to-earth story, though, as well. It was made into a board game, an RPG, a graphic novel. It's also on Audible. So if you like stuff on Audible, you can definitely check that out. There's also my fantasy novel, Tales of Ravenor, the Iron Witch. So if you like Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Lord of the Ring, it's got magic, it's got dragons in it. So if you like that kind of stuff, you like that one as well. And then Fairy Tales of Terror is my new comic. It just got released. We just finished it up on Kickstarter. We were incredibly successful. Almost $11,500 on that. So we are working on issue 2 already. At least I am. Psycho Cinderella and Killer Captain Hook being chased around New York City by Tiger Lily from Neverland. We just finished it up on Kickstarter. It was extremely successful. We did like $11,500. I just did launch Late Pledge, so you can just go to fairytalesofterror.com. There's also a link in the description below if you want to pick that up as well. I will leave that open for about 30 days if you want to check that out. All right, so let's jump back into the movie. So also Melanie Diaz is also in here as his first wife, and she was from the new Charmed, and I really dislike her as an actress. I'm sorry. She always looks like she's pissed off. She always looked like she was pissed off and Charmed. She just exudes a bad attitude to me, and it just comes off. But it worked here, I guess, because she's supposed to be hating him, so it kind of worked. But the true life story of Jeffrey, I forgot his last name, Manchester, is that he called him the Roofman because when he got back from Afghanistan, I believe it is, and I think it takes place in the 90s because there's Blockbuster and things to that effect. It didn't really say a year, but just based on the fact that there's flip phones and stuff like that, it's either very early 2000s or late 90s is how I would think it would be. And he realized that a lot of these stores had very flimsy roofs, and especially McDonald's and like Burger King and things like that, but especially McDonald's. So he would hack in to the roof, literally break the roof open, drop down, stay there all night, wait for the first group of people to come in, lock them in the freezer, take the keys to the safe, and steal the money, and basically walk right out. And they said he was very nice. Like I said in the trailer, he basically hands the guy his coat because the manager didn't have a coat, and he's sticking them in the freezer. And then he would literally call the cops and have the cops show up while he was gone to let them out. And he did this 45 times, I believe. And it doesn't really say how he got caught. I thought it was because he gave the guy his jacket that there was something in there that implicated him, but it said later on, like if you watch the post credits, that somebody saw him run out and they sent the cops in the direction that he ran. So I don't know, that's kind of weird, but okay, wouldn't he be in a car and get out of there? I don't know. It was very weird how he got caught. I don't know. But anyway, he got, just like in the trailer, I mean, you see basically the deal in the trailer. So he has to basically, his family abandons him for the most part. So he has two babies that are twins and a young girl, which I think is different than he is in real life. But because I think when they show the pictures at the end, all the kids are like the same age. But here the daughter was a little older. And he couldn't make any money. So that's why he decided to steal. And it didn't really work out for him because he got arrested. But from there, he figured out how to escape. And then, as you see in the trailer, he stays in a Toys R Us for months. I think almost like a year. I think he lives in this Toys R Us for like a year. But during that period of time, it's almost like Catch Me If You Can kind of thing. It has a lot of Catch Me If You Can vibes. And he ends up setting up like a surveillance unit in this little piece of the store that's, used for shelving. So he's like in between the shelvings and stuff like that. But he sets up a house, basically a little house in there. And he has surveillance because he takes like the baby monitors and stuff like that and puts them around the store. And then he has headphones, so he's literally listening to all the different conversations. He's able to see Dinklage, who is the manager, what his passwords are, and he's able to turn on and off the cameras in the thing every night, and then turns them on every morning. So they never catch him on it. Nobody ever goes back and looks at the footage, so they don't even realize that he's turned them on and off. So it's very, very. That's why I'm like saying why it's got a lot of Catch Me If You Can type situation. And then he ends up getting into a relationship with Kirsten Dunst. So I guess he leaves the store and then comes back basically whenever he wants. It's very, very interesting. He basically leaves the back door open for himself and nobody checks it, I guess. It's very, 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 very interesting. And the fact that it's a true story just blows my mind. And it's got a little bit more of, as things get better for him and his relationship with Kirsten Dunst and that family develop, you feel worse and worse and worse as time goes on because you know he's going to make a mistake. And once that happens, the movie's going to not end well. And you already know what's going to happen, even if you've never seen the film or even if you've never read anything. You in your heart and your head, you already know what's going to happen. So it doesn't change from what you think is going to happen. So yeah, but it's not about that. It's about the feelings of the film. It's about the relationships that he's developing. It's more of a romance movie, I think. So it's not about the plot, is what I'm trying to say. It's about the feeling you get from the film. So if that makes any sense. And that gives you more of an idea about what the performances are like, because in a romance film, you've got to feel what the characters are feeling, or else the romance doesn't work, right? And here, I did have those feelings, and I already knew that it was not gonna end well, and it's that made me more sad that how it was gonna affect these kids, because I've been in relationships where in my age people are the women I date are going to have kids, and how attached to those kids going to get to me. So when it breaks off, and that's probably one of the reasons I haven't dated in a long time. But that's the same situation here. But yeah, so it's basically a Catch Me If You Can with a romance stuck in the middle, and a romance between middle-aged people that both have their own families. And I think for the most part it works. I think a lot of it does work, and as you watch it, you become heavily invested in these people's lives, and how they're ultimately going to crash and burn. And it's very interesting watching the post credits because of the fact that they have interviews with the real people, since obviously it's only been a couple of decades since this took place. But anyway, I'm not going to tell you, the full thing of what happens, of course, and everything that I told you is basically in the trailer. It's not about the plot. It's not about the plot, because you can just look up online what happened to the guy. But anyway, I definitely recommend the film. I hope it does well. I'm going to give this probably a 7.5 out of 10. And it's like I said, it's definitely worth seeing. And for the actors and their performances, I hope that it does well. So for that. All right, that's it for me. Remember to give me a like, give me a thumbs up if you can. If you can, subscribe, please do. Ring that bell, ding, ding. Check out my stuff on Amazon. Just type my name in. There's a link in the description below. Also, go to fairytalesofterror.com and check out the stuff there. Again, I'll be probably closing it up in a month, and then, those books really won't be available, especially several of the covers will not be available. All right, have a great week, everyone, and thank you so much for watching.